Hey, Ideal Protein Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the Life Possible podcast. I know it's been a while, but I promise you, this one is worth the wait. I have two incredible ladies here with me today, and I can't wait for you to hear their stories and get to know them the way that I've been able to. So let's get started. All right. The Life Possible podcast, for those of you who don't know, is a show designed to showcase successful clients, coaches, and clinic owners who have used the Ideal Protein protocol to reset their body, reset their mind, and actually reset what's possible for their lives. These people are pursuing goals and dreams now that they thought were dead and gone. In some cases, they're pursuing goals and dreams they never even knew they had. And so, who am I and why am I doing this program? Well, I tell you what, there's no easy way to put this. But about 8 years ago, in 2015, I was fat, sick, and depressed, and I didn't see a way out. I had let the pressures of private practice and family and everything get to me. I ate and I drank myself for comfort, and I ruined my metabolism, and I really didn't feel like I could ever come back from it. But I swear that God sent me the Ideal Protein protocol as the answer to so many of my prayers, both personally and professionally. And now I'm enjoying a new life, a life that I feel healthy, vibrant, and alive. Back in 2021, I was able to conquer my first half Ironman triathlon as a result of what happened when I did the protocol. So that's why I started the Life Possible podcast. So who do I have for you today? Well, I put out some hype posts out there to get everybody excited. I've got Jessica Robinson. Jessica Robinson is a certified Ideal Protein coach for Southern Pharmacies of Arkansas. And not only do we get to hear her story, which is really great, and she's got so many great coaching insights about the protocol, et cetera, but we also get to meet one of her very, very successful clients, Amber Brewer. Amber Brewer is an insurance agent, property and casualty insurance. And she's out there in Arkansas as well. And Amber lost over 157 pounds. But between the two of them, these ladies lost well over 200 pounds. So they've got some neat insights, some neat things that I know that you're going to connect with them and really kind of feel like you know them. Now let's bring them in. Hey, ladies, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good.
I'm doing great. You excited for today?
Oh, for sure. It's my favorite thing to talk about.
Right? Absolutely. And you could talk for hours, I'm sure. Right?
This is true.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Well, I tell you what, we're gonna get right into it. Jessica, I'd like for you to start. We're going to hear two different success stories. We're going to hear your success story first, and then how you became an Ideal Protein coach. And then we're going to go into Amber's story. And Amber, feel free to chime in too if you know anything about Jessica's story as she's telling it that we need to know. Okay. Or you can call her bluff and say, "Oh no, I think that's no." Right." So Jessica, talk to us about your history as far as your weight goes. Went through your life.
Okay, I was healthy weight my whole life. I was a varsity swimmer all through high school. After high school, I was a flight attendant for a long time, and then I decided to leave that profession and I moved to Arkansas. And if you've never been here, you should come because the food is amazing. And I loved it so much that I ended up gaining quite a bit in about 3 months. It didn't take me long to gain all that weight. It was very terrifying, honestly. I held that weight for about 3 years. And I honestly felt like this is the way it is for me. There's no way to change it because I'm sure everyone can relate. We try all the things and nothing works, or it works for a minute, or, we all have our stories. But then, I did find Ideal Protein and it truly did change my life.
Yeah, actually, my niece who was Caitlin, who was on one of my earlier shows, she just moved to Little Rock. She
Oh,
moved there from yeah, she moved there from Philadelphia. So there, you know what? I might end up coming out there at some point for sure.
yeah. Well, I can tell her all the good places to eat in Little
Right?
Rock.
Well, both
Yeah.
the good and the
Good,
not so
the
good,
good.
right?
That's right.
Awesome. So yeah, so you found ideal protein, and
hmm
it you could take us through how you felt as you were going through phase one.
So, anytime that you start a program, especially if you've done several that didn't work for you for whatever reason, you're nervous, you're vulnerable, you're like, oh gosh,
Mhm.
and it's an adjustment. You're nervous, but I can honestly say the difference between ideal protein and anything else I've tried or even have learned about. The first thing that I can share is that the education piece is different. And so a coach is there to tell you the yes and the no's, but they have to tell you the why for the yes and the no so you
Oh,
understand. So I always kind of tease with my patients, and I'm like, when you're a kid and your parents tell you no, it's fine, but why not? It's like, don't say because I said so. Teach them the whys and the why nots, and it does make a difference. And what I love is when I do pair with somebody and I'm teaching them the science of protocol, they hear it, but they don't understand it. And then once they're on protocol for a week, 2, 3,
yeah,
then tell them again. It makes full
yeah,
circle about ketosis and how you feel, and
yeah.
it's relatable, and then it sticks.
Oh my God. Yes, that's absolutely just the absolute best approach. Amber, can you speak to that actually in working with Jessica? Has she really kind of helped you with understanding the science and everything behind what went on in protocol?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the biggest things, I think everybody's taught when they grow up is if you want to lose weight, don't eat as much. And it's amazing when, especially when you're first starting and trying to figure everything out, if for some reason you miss a meal or something like that, and then you see the weight fluctuate a little bit, you're like, whoa, I do need to eat to lose weight. It's just crazy, because we're always taught you want to lose weight, don't eat as much. So
Mm-hmm.
we just have to make sure that you eat the right stuff and the right amount of stuff. So that's the big part of it.
Yeah, yeah. So Jessica, how many pounds did you lose?
87.
87 pounds.
Yeah.
How do you feel like that changed your life the most? Let's see. Do I have?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, here we go. Wait, I got some pictures. Let's look.
There she is.
And I do have to say, we are going to see some absolutely amazing hair this entire show,
Thank you.
right?
That heavy, unhealthy picture, that was Thanksgiving. So it truly is. Gosh, I haven't seen that picture in a really long time. It's You've thrown me off. What was the question? I forgot what you said.
You lost 87 pounds. How many, what was it like losing that kind of weight? And how do you feel like it's really impacted your daily life?
It's
How,
definitely different. I mean, anyone that can relate that's lost 30 or more pounds, it's you have more energy. Like I couldn't even stand and wash dishes, and I thought that was normal, that my back and my neck was hurting me, and it's
Mhm.
not. And I mean, it's amazing that when you get on protocol and you've got some weight cleaned up, and then you go randomly have to walk up a set of stairs that you've not done since then, it's like, holy cow. That was really quick. I'll never forget it. One of my first oh wow moment, because you do still see yourself unhealthy for a while in the mirror. Takes a while for your brain to kind of catch up with what's happening.
Yep.
I never forget it. I was sitting in a chair and I put my cell phone in my lap and it fell through my legs, and that's never happened before. So it just little things like that you just don't anticipate. Your life is just easier when you're healthy.
Yeah. And somehow Ideal Protein got wind of your story and your weight loss.
They did.
How did that happen?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how or why they called, but they did, and it made me extremely uncomfortable to do a video. But I'm glad that I did, because I did get a lot of people in the ideal protein world and, you know, the patient base that said, oh, that you said, I can relate to that, or that you said made sense to me. I get it now. And so it was worth being uncomfortable for a little bit. But it's definitely, when people ask me these questions to kind of dig into my past that I don't think about often, it kind of takes you back to that moment of what you felt like.
Yeah.
And I still remember what it feels like to be that unhealthy. And I think that when my patients go through it, and you know, or that one number that I remember, I was that number, and it's like you are relatable, and you do get emotional with them, because you do know what they feel like or what they're going through. And I think that that's important for a coach patient client relationship too, to be relatable.
Absolutely. I tell you what, I actually have that video. I want to show the video so that people can see and hear you again. And then we're going to talk about some of the things that you said. It was so powerful, the way they edited it and the things that you said. Let's see if we can bring this up.
I was 23, 24 years old, and I was getting very winded and out of breath very quickly. And that shouldn't happen in your early 20s. Hi, I'm Jessica Robinson. I've lost 87 pounds with Ideal Protein, and now I am a certified Ideal Protein coach. I know what it's like to feel like you're destined to be unhealthy or overweight, and it doesn't have to be that way. I truly just didn't understand how my body worked. A lot of people think that certain foods are healthy, and they just don't understand why they're not losing weight. Ideal Protein works because you learn the foods that work with you and work against you. The science just makes sense. I've been there, I get it, and I'm so glad that I kept going. Every day you feel better, and every day you are healthier than you were yesterday.
Dang.
Emotional.
Oh my God. Dang. Just so powerful from beginning to end. You know, I want to hit a couple. Well, number one, I do want to ask you, is that the biggest your hair's ever been?
In 5 more days, ask me again, because it gets bigger as the week goes
on. All right, let's go.
That's funny.
You were 24 years old when you lost the weight. Okay.
That's right.
And to me, this is one of my challenges, is trying to reach the 20-something generation and get Ideal Protein in front of them and get them to do it. You said the phrase that you felt like you were destined to be unhealthy or overweight. Just
yes. So, I mean, like I said, I wasn't unhealthy my whole life. It happened, and it truly happened overnight. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to fix this. I knew as a kid and a young adult how to maintain my weight, or I thought I did. I've learned differently since then. I knew that, but I had no idea what you do when life hits you and it slaps you in the face, whether it's a happy or a sad emotion, you know, our seasons of life. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then, you know, I started thinking about in the future, starting a family. I'm like, I don't want to get pregnant and be even more unhealthy, you know, and it just, a lot of things kind of clicked through my brain, and I just got fed up eventually. And I was determined to do something about it. So it's definitely changed my life. It truly has. Like, I really can't say that enough. And speaking to the earlier generation, yes, I did do protocol at 23 and 24. However, I wish I would have had the tools a long time ago to prevent that. And when people come on protocol with me that just need to clean up 10, 15, 20 pounds, I praise them. I'm so grateful that they caught it early. Let's clean that up now. Let's educate ourselves now. And I'm a big advocate for the patients in my wheelhouse to teach their children. And so we talk about that in our private phone calls, and Amber can attest to that in her journey as well. don't say, oh, my kid has a fast metabolism, or they're in sports, or they can eat all the things and not getting. You're right. They're safe now, but just because they're not overweight doesn't mean that they're not making unhealthy choices. And it doesn't mean that they're not being set up for destruction later. So you have to teach them now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I kind of talked about that too in my introduction. I had never had a weight problem before until I destroyed my metabolism. And it was the first time that I was not able to just eat less and exercise more and lose the 5 or 10 pounds or what have you. And at that stage of the game, it was more like 40 or 50 is what needed to happen. And I just, like you said, I just felt like, I'm stuck. Like there is no way out of here. And this is how it happens. So I had given up myself. And it was just such an incredible thing to receive the gift of the Ideal Protein Protocol.
That's it.
How about, give me an example? I love how you say foods that work with you and foods that work against you. And I think, you know, people that aren't familiar with the protocol and the foods that we include and the foods that we don't, give us an example of that. Something that people may or may not even think, gosh, this is healthy. How come I'm not losing weight?
The biggest one that comes to mind is fruits and nuts. We're like, oh, it's healthy. Well, to maintain your weight, it sure is. But you also have to pay attention to serving sizes there too, because too much of a good thing. And also when I'm teaching patients maintenance and we're talking about, you know, building their macros and building their balanced day with their macros and all of that, I'm like, know your triggers. Almonds are fine, but they can't live at my house because I don't realize there's a serving size on the back. I'm like, oh, that's a suggestion. Let me just go ahead and eat the whole bag. So I don't keep that stuff at my house. It's no different when you're in phase 1 weight loss. When you're rolling into maintenance, your triggers are still there. They sneak up on you. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. But my biggest, now that I've been educated, my biggest pet peeve is when you hear conversation or commercials, or you go to the doctor's office and they use that dirty word calories. Watch your calories. Keep your calories at this number. Okay, well, I can eat Cheetos then and still be in my calorie count. Is that what you just said? It doesn't make any sense. You have to do the work. You have to pay attention to your protein. It doesn't matter. Losing weight, maintaining protein has to be on board always, always, always. I posted in our private Facebook group the other day, I'm like, oh, you're not hungry? You're not going to eat your protein? That's fine. Your body's going to get it from your body. You're going to ruin your metabolism if you're not feeding yourself, you know, just as Amber was speaking on. So it's things like that. You just have to, it's not about calories. It's not.
Right. Absolutely. It's not about the number of calories as much as the type of calories, the macronutrients that you're actually eating, and your body's hormonal response to those different macronutrients, right? And some will work with it. Some will short circuit that fat loss.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Jessica, is there anything is there a favorite concept that you like to coach your clients with, or is there something like a favorite topic you like to coach on?
I don't know. I like to talk about everything all the time. I don't know. I mean, I think the biggest thing, like the first thing I ask everybody when we get on our phone, because we are 100% virtual clinic, the first thing I said is, what'd you do over the weekend? What did you do the other day? How did it go? Yes, I love you. Yes, I care. But I want you to tell me what you were faced with socially. And the very last thing I ask before we get off the phone is, what are y'all fixing to do this weekend? Because I want to help. I want to have that plan with them for those social or emotional events that are coming at them, because Monday through Friday is easy, right? It's the weekends that are difficult.
Amen, sister. And you know what? That's the thing. I always say weight loss happens on the weekend. The weekend is going to make or break that week. That's absolutely it. Yeah. I don't quite say, what are you fixing to do though? Maybe I'll work. I think maybe I'll work that in. You think I can get away with that?
It's, I'm not from Arkansas, but I've been here for about 16 years now. And people ask me all the time because it does kind of come and go. And I'm like, I don't feel like you can show up in Arkansas and not go to Walmart and walk out with an accent. It just happens.
Exactly.
Oh God, that's funny. I'm gonna have to watch Caitlin and see how long it takes for that to develop, for sure.
Yep.
She's only been out there for a few weeks. She's only been out there a few weeks, already experienced a tornado, and good Lord.
Bless her. Yeah, that was
all
a bad
kinds
deal.
of stuff going on out there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk to Amber. Let's go through Amber's story, because she's got just an incredible
It's a good
story.
one.
It is a good one. Amber, talk to us. Let's just start from the very beginning with you. How about your lifelong journey with your weight?
Yeah, kind of like Jessica said with her journey, I was active. I played sports, basketball, softball, and I mean, I was never a skinny mini. It was more, muscular, just being in sports and stuff. And I never really had to worry about, gaining weight either, because I knew I was going to have a 2-hour practice and burn it off, So
Right. And I'm going to say point guard, not center, right? When you're playing basketball.
Of course. I mean, I'm getting it left and right now.
She had a dynamite 3-pointer.
Yeah.
At 4'11".
Right?
I'm proudly 5'1" on a good day.
On a good day. Yeah, there it is.
It depends on the hair.
Exactly. But yeah, like I said, I never had to really worry about it with sports and stuff. And then I got married, had kids, back to back, and gained a lot of my weight when I got pregnant with my kids, and was a stay-at-home mom and just worried about them, of course, with little ones running around. And, you don't want to waste food. I was eating what they didn't eat and just didn't realize over time it just started adding up. And when I moved back here, when my marriage got over and moved back here, that was when I kind of even just realized even more, like, oh my goodness, the heaviest I've ever been. And I got all the way to 299 pounds. And I was like, being 5 foot, I'm like, I'm not going to get to 300. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And the crazy thing about it for me, I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing, I guess, but I knew I was heavy because of my pants and my shirt size, but mentally I didn't feel like I was heavy. And I know that sounds crazy, but at the same time, I guess that maybe that was a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. Right. But when I started realizing, I think Jessica touched on this, just being able to stand for so long and getting tired, going to the grocery store. I mean, Walmart, you're in there for an hour, 2 hours sometimes, and I would just be exhausted, and of course you buy all this food and then you go home and you don't want to cook anything because you're tired. So you run to the McDonald's and grab something, just stuff like that. But yeah, it's been crazy, and I'm just glad I found Ideal Protein when I did, for sure.
So Amber, I want to touch on some of the things you talked about. Again, one of the things that I hear most commonly when new clients are coming in, new female clients are coming in, is that the whole weight gain surrounding pregnancy, right? And I think it's really important to understand that one of the underlying metabolic issues that creates a lot of weight gain is this thing called insulin resistance, right? And we're all kind of familiar with that now because we're learning it, we're hearing it more often, we're learning more about it every single day. And that's what actually I had developed when I ruined my metabolism, right? That happens naturally during a state of pregnancy. That does create a situation where the mom will put on some extra weight in order to help support the fetus and the baby when they're growing, also to help the baby grow itself. And some women are able to go into pregnancy, get insulin resistant, gain the weight, have the baby, go right back to where they were before. And others, that's the start of insulin resistance that sticks around, right? It doesn't go away. And I think it is also really pretty important that you outlined, Amber, just what it's like day to day being a mom or being a dad, depending on who's in charge of cooking for the kids and what for the day. And no, you didn't finish your macaroni and cheese. Hey, I'm going to finish that, right? And a lot of times it's more just kind of you're not thinking about it. It's unconscious, right?
Yes, exactly.
So I had my dinner, and then also, well, yeah, why didn't you eat your macaroni and cheese, or why didn't you eat your chicken? You left a couple nuggets, right?
Yeah.
It's just very easy to have that happen and not really understand how much extra you're eating.
Yeah, especially when
right?
you're not exercising. Yes.
Absolutely, because who's got time for that when you're chasing the kids and gosh, trying to get them to bed and all the things, right?
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Making sure they're taken care of, and laundry, and like you said, cooking a meal, and changing diapers, and
Right.
want to watch TV, and all this stuff. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we have to talk about this before and after picture. It's absolutely, truly amazing. I wouldn't have even said that it's the same person. I wouldn't have said, Amber, that's you in both pictures. And as we were talking about before, and I think Jessica agrees, I think you knocked at least 20, 25 years off your life by going through this transformation.
Yep. She's now 12.
Crazy. I mean, you can definitely tell when I started it, 4th of July.
Yeah, right. I love the holidays. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a holiday themed show today, and we will point out the different holidays that you're going to experience as we're going through this.
Oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's amazing. I mean, that 4th of July, I think that's a 4X shirt.
Okay.
And the other one is a medium. So yeah, it's crazy.
Oh my goodness. And that other one is, what holiday are we celebrating there?
The purple one is Easter that just passed.
Yep. I like the ideal protein scale in the background, by the way. Nice touch.
I saw that.
I hadn't noticed that before.
Yeah. And
I saw that. So Amber, when you were at your heaviest and you were kind of going through life, and one of the moments I think that you had shared with us, where you actually, I guess, had to get connected to how heavy you were, happened in Disney World.
Yes.
Can you tell us this story?
Yeah. So just recently moved back, and my family, my mom, my dad, my brother, his kids, we all decided to go down to Disney World. My kids were like 2 and 3 at the time. And so, they wanted to ride all of the rides. And, my son, he really likes roller coasters, and even at that young age, and he wanted to ride the roller coaster, but he didn't want to go by himself, of course, and everybody else was doing other rides. So I was going to get on with him, and just not even thinking about it being a problem, I get on, and they're like, "Oh, ma'am, you're going to have to step aside. We're going to have to make sure you can ride this ride." And I'm thinking, what? So they pull me over to the side, and they have this like scale down there, and they make me get on the scale to see how much I weigh. And unfortunately, I was too heavy for the ride, and they were like, "Ma'am, you cannot ride this ride." And I mean, my son was very sad and upset, and I felt bad. Something that I was doing made him not be able to experience, an activity that he wanted to, and that just broke my heart. I mean, I was like, that was when I knew I needed to do something, because I was like, I'm taking away from my children experiencing life, and it's sad, So
yeah. Oh my God, I can't even imagine being in that position, especially in front of others, right? And especially in front of your son.
Yes.
I can't believe that they do it that way.
Yeah, they pretty much told me afterwards, because the ride was full. They said, "Ma'am, if you do want to ride this ride, if we can get the bar down over you,
right,
you can ride with your son, but we're going to have to just be you and your son and a few other people, and they would have to spread it out over the roller coaster, because it can only take so much weight." And I started crying, and it was just very upsetting. And I just told him, I said, "Let's just go find something else to ride," And I hated, he couldn't ride that because of me. Kids for any reason, you want to give them everything. And when I couldn't because of my weight, something I should be able to control. It was just very, very hard.
And I got a sense from you when we were talking about finding ideal protein that you were pretty desperate by the time you were going to lose weight. You were actually talking about going through a surgery, and in fact, not just going through a surgery, but actually going down to Mexico to have this surgery, right? Can you take us through that part of your journey?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I had tried other things. I mean, all of the fad diets everybody knows about, Atkins, Nutrisystem, all the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And tried all of it. And it might have worked for a little while, but then it just would stop working, and it just got frustrating putting so much money into it, not seeing results. And some people around here were having success going down to Mexico and doing the sleeve surgery. And so me and my mom even went to Memphis, Tennessee, and met with the guy that was the doctor down there. And he was amazing. I mean, he really was. And there's been a lot of people that have had amazing success with him. But my mom she didn't like the whole thought of going down to Mexico and doing it. And
Yeah.
I kept telling Mom, I'm like, I've got to try something. I was like, I've tried everything, I've got to try something. And she was like, why don't you try this other program? I've heard people in our area are having success with it. And I fought her back and forth for a while. Then I finally said, okay, the webinar that you can sign up for is free. There's no obligation to sign up or anything like that. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I sat there and took notes and listened to it and everything. And I was like, Mom, if you want to try it, I'll give it a try. And I'm so glad that I did, because this is the only thing that has worked for me. And I'm so glad I didn't have to have surgery, because with any surgery, there's risk, no matter what. I mean, here in the U.S., even that has nothing to do going down there.
Right. Even
here, any surgery, there's risk. And I'm so glad, because my mom was really worried about my heart. My mom's older, she's in her 70s, and she was really worried that I would pass before she did. And I think that's why she pushed me, because she kept telling me, she's like, Amber, if you ever put your mind to something, you are hard-headed. You will you will stick to it. If we can find something that will work for you, I know that you will, stick it through to the end. So I'm glad that I found Ideal Protein for sure.
The words of a mother.
My mother's right, by the way. She's very hard-headed. Just kidding.
I think persistence might be
That's it. Yeah, my favorite thing about my weekly visits with Amber, and again, we've met one time in person. We had a pharmacy event for Ideal Protein, and that was it. So our relationship truly is virtually. And what I love about our conversations is she always starts it out, well, I know this might be a dumb question, or I'm going to ask you this. Like she had a million questions. She still does. And we've been here, for over a year, and I love it. You challenge your coach, ask your coach questions, dig into the education piece so it sticks with you for the rest of your life. It's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So also, did you have any health issues that had started to appear, Amber, when you were at your worst?
Blood pressure. My blood pressure was really high on blood pressure medicine. They had me on lisinopril. I was on 25. I'm not sure the grams or whatever, but I was taking that. Luckily, that was the only thing that was really, a problem for me.
Yeah.
Because they would always do blood tests on me for my sugar level and see if I was diabetic, and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I'm still on it. They've gone down to 20 now, and they've taken the water pill and all that stuff off of it. But I think they're just trying to slowly wean me off of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just glad that I don't have to take, 4 or 5 different medicines, and everything. So, but yeah, it was beginning to be a problem for sure.
When you said, when you shared actually that your mom thought that there might come a time where you had passed before her. That was a story with Dr. Paul Wilson, one of my my shows that I did before, and he was actually a medical doctor, right? And he was over 400 pounds. And, that's why he ended up doing the program, was because his mom was so scared about his health and didn't want to see her son go before her. And that's a reality,
Yeah. Yeah. On a day-to-day basis, you don't think of that. I mean, we all think, oh yeah, we're going to live forever. We're going to be old when we die, and everything. And yeah, when she told me that, and she was crying and telling me that, I was just like, wow, because I never wanted to put any type of burden like that on my mom. I mean, you know what I mean? And then my kids, be without their mother for the rest of their life. No.
Right. Super impactful. So you started doing this protocol. You went through the workshop and you decided to go ahead and get started. And, and how did that go?
It went good. Like I said, the things that they tell you when you sign up, is just it's free, so there's no obligation. Just get on the webinar and just listen to it. And if you decide you want it, then we'll talk more about it and everything. And I can't remember who did the webinar. Was it Audra? Do you
Probably.
remember? Yeah. And and she was real good, because you could ask questions if you had any to ask, and she was amazing. And one of the things I love, our weekly talks with Jessica, talking about questions, she does ask, how did your week go? And the last thing she always says to me is, call me or text me if you need anything. And she knows I'll do that. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you put yourself out there, right? And it doesn't bother you at all, right? As a coach?
No. I mean, we definitely, as coaches, I've got a great team with me. We definitely, we do turn things off and spend time with our family, but we do check our messages in the evening. After 8, I do not see it. I put my do not disturb on, and on the weekends I'll check it 2 or 3 times, but I'll just kind of get a cluster of messages and answer them at one time. So it's not a constant check kind of thing. But the reason that we do that is because we know that goofy stuff happens in the evenings and on the weekends. The questions don't happen. The social things, like I said before, don't typically happen on a Tuesday, so we want to be able to be there for our patients. And we do have a private Facebook group where we share recipes and we congratulate each other and we share funny jokes with each other. You have to have that community, whether you're in person or virtual clinic. You have to have that tight community with everybody on your protocol, no matter what their phase is. And it's real interesting to see when people post and then they conversate between the few of them, and it has nothing to do with the coach, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome. We've got one of those private groups ourselves, and it is a whole lot of fun. And it is fostering that sense of community.
Yeah,
that is so great. So Amber, one of the quotes that I have written down from our pre-interview when we were talking is just about how you just started to feel so much better, right? I mean, it's one thing to lose weight, but just how you start to feel from the inside out. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes. Sleeping definitely is a game changer. I sleep so much better now. And a lot of times people will say, make sure don't sleep on, your left side, because you're going to, damage your heart and stuff like that. And, don't have any pressure there anymore like I did before. And I mean, just small things like, crossing my legs, are a little easier to do. And, I think Jessica's talking about doing dishes. I mean, one of the chores I hate to do at home is vacuuming. And I mean, I would just be in a sweat just vacuuming after I got done.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is ridiculous. People do this all the time. And here it's like, but yeah, and I have so much more energy, I don't have that 2-3 o'clock, lull where you're like, try to come something like that. So yeah, a lot more energy.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jessica has also talked about how now it's a different experience for you when you go shopping in the grocery store. Talk to us about, now what are you doing in Walmart when you're spending an hour or 2 grocery shopping, but you're doing it for a different reason? What are you doing when you're there?
Yeah, definitely with my kids and stuff. I mean, I mean, they're kids. Yes, they, of course they want, the soda and the candy and all that stuff. But I do try to make sure that I'll read the labels and make sure that it, isn't real sugar heavy or high carb heavy or anything like that, which it's really sad because a lot of the stuff that's better for you is a lot much more expensive. And it's sad that that is the case. You're trying to do good for yourself, but then it's hurting your pocket, and then definitely if I do get the sugary stuff, I still try to make sure we've got like the bananas and the apples and the salad in the fridge and, some good healthy options, and I really try, if nothing else, to push water on them. I'm like, if you're going to get your calories and stuff, don't get it from a soda. I'm like, go get it from water, and Ideal Protein has these water enhancers you can put in, and they're completely free. You can have as many of them as you want, and it just helps so much with just not being plain water. My kids have even gotten some of this, and my son will go get some of the chips and the restricted candy bars and stuff and eat them.
I was going to say, we got to put a stop to that though, right? Mom needs that. I was planning on having that for my supply.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, at every Ideal Protein house, there's Ideal Protein, and then there's Ideal Protein where you hide it from your spouse. We all have those houses, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? Well, yeah, I've heard stories where spouses have almost lost fingers or hands when, somebody goes to the pantry and they were planning on what they were planning on and they weren't there anymore. The last one was gone. So you have to watch out.
Yeah, there was almost a divorce at our clinic over a brownie box that was left in the pantry but was empty.
Oh my God.
It was a bad deal. They both were on protocol, and it was not replaced quick enough.
So Amber, you reached your goal, right? How many weeks ago was that?
Jessica, do you remember? 3 weeks?
3. Jessica knows. Coach knows.
I know all the things. Yeah. Yeah.
And so now you've shifted into phase 2, right?
Yes. And it's still a learning process, changing. It's a whole different mindset and getting a little bit more freedom. But at the same time, she knows I don't want to mess up. So it just bothers me. I'm like, okay, because we had a whole other conversation about, okay, is this where I'm supposed to put the macros? And I want to make sure I'm not going over, please tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah. We can erase anything with a pencil, right? So let's get our menu right before we move into stabilization. But with Amber, her little personality is a very black and white. She's all or nothing. And I learned that pretty quick. And I tell patients and coaches, you have to be careful with your little black and whiters. They're very easy in phase 1 because they listen and they do all the things you said. And then they're nothing when they get to phase 2. So you have to be very careful, and you need to be educating them on phase 2 and 3 very early so they anticipate what's going to happen to them. So they're prepared. They like the strong guardrails. So make sure you give them guardrails in phases 2 and 3. People truly love that. So I'll go ahead and tell what happened with us. So we're trucking along in protocol perfectly, and we are getting very, very close to scooting into phase 2. And we've had a nearly perfect phase 1 with her. And so I made her phased off for Thanksgiving this past year. I needed her to tip her toe in decision-making and indulgent days to understand what that's like and what you feel like, and empower yourself over those things. And she did it, but it was like very, very, very tippy-toey, which I appreciate. That's fine. But I wanted her to learn a lot, and I feel like she did. And so I think that rolling into permanent phase 2 and 3 was a little less terrifying because we phased off for Thanksgiving last year.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's kind of a quick little preview, a quick little, that's awesome. You know what? When I'm talking to people, I'm sure you're getting a lot of people who are coming back. They did Ideal Protein 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And, now for one reason or another, they need to come back. They need to get back in. And you're so excited. I'm so excited to tell them that phase 2 and phase 3 are so different than they used to be. So different than they used to be, and so powerful, like so like effective, right?
I get excited to have a conversation when they use the phrase phase 4. I'm like, oh, I've got my audience here. There's no phase 4. This is what it looks like now. And it's easier to teach and it's easier to learn and it's easier for your schedule. It's so crazy different. So if you are a person that's done protocol in the past, whether you've done an amazing job to stay within your trigger marks or you have gained back, it's okay to come reboot, because let your new coach teach you the proper phase 2 and phase 3, because it looks and feels completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like you said, I think one of the best parts of it is there's so much more structure to it, right? There's structure to it without it being like, I keep telling my people, I don't want you to have to carry a calculator around when you're going to eat, because we're not going to be calculating stuff. I want you to be able to look at food, understand how many portions of protein are in that food, how many servings of fat is probably in there too. And if we're familiar with the carbs that we're going to start with, you get a good idea as to what those net carbs look like, right?
Yeah.
Has that been your experience, Amber? Are you starting to get the hang of that?
Yeah, on the sheet of paper, when you have on the one side, you put down kind of what you were doing on phase 1, except for the one less packet and the extra protein, and then pushing it over. It honestly kind of goes back to like school. The more you write it down, the more you remember it. So like even today when I was going over all my stuff, it was like, okay, almonds, you got this many, and then cashew, you got this many, and you got, so many, because I'm the olives and the almonds type person. That's always me. She knows from last just putting that down, and it started to become muscle memory that I just don't even have to look over at the sheet anymore,
Yeah. And did you hear what she said, people? Almonds and olives are in phase 2.
Yeah.
Right? It's mind blowing. And I was talking about that to some of you. I'm like, you get new food in phase 2. We are already going into the nuts and the cheese and the avocados and the olives and all the fun things.
And the berries and cantaloupes and
lions and tigers and bears. Oh my.
Yeah, that's it.
So Amber, as you are now getting back into life, and we're phase 2, soon you're going to be in phase 3, and you've succeeded in this absolutely amazing personal transformation. Has that inspired you to start thinking about maybe other life goals or dreams or things that you might want to do?
I mean, like I said earlier, I'm thinking about maybe getting my real estate license and venturing off into that. And real estate is all about the way you look, because you're showing off houses and stuff. And, you don't necessarily want to be, overweight and, show off houses and stuff. But then too, maybe even a little smaller goal, I would love to be able to get back in, and be comfortable in a bathing suit, going to the beach, just little small things like that, because before I was wearing, the skirt and, some t-shirt and stuff like that. But yeah, just little small things like that.
Well, and you know what? You say small things like that, but like you said, a career change like that, right? Where, like you said, you really have to present yourself along with the houses. And you have to be, getting in the car, getting out of the car, going to the different, showing all the different houses and properties, going up the stairs, down, unlike all the things, right?
Yes.
So,
sorry, hold on one second. But yes, hold on, I'm so sorry. Son brought my dog in the room.
It's not the first dog we've had. No worries.
But yeah, no, I know it's probably going to sound petty, but it really is about presenting yourself the best you can, you know, and you want to sell a house. So you want to, do the hair, do the makeup, you want to look the best you can to sell something. So that's definitely going to help going into that side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jessica, as we're starting to wrap up here, your thoughts on how proud you are of Amber and her journey?
Oh my gosh. We need a whole nother hour to say how proud I am of Amber. I want to be very, very clear. she weighs less than how much she's lost. She's
Yeah.
lost Amber. She's gone. So it's just amazing to me. Like, I remember the day that we hit that right on the cusp number where she weighed how much she
Oh,
lost, and she's like, "Oh, I'm
Oh.
not done yet." So it's just amazing. And I say this to everybody: be married to your coach. That is the biggest takeaway. If you will constantly check your scale and constantly be in connection with your coach, reboots, tune-ups are a must. I am calling my patients January, April, and September every year and getting them back on protocol. And even if you don't gain anything, which is wonderful, let's reset that pancreas, right? You have to do your little detox and clean up and be prepared for holidays and vacations and stressful times and things like that, you know. But I can't say how I'm so proud of her. And for her to agree to do this podcast is extremely out of her comfort zone. And I'm so appreciative. And when I called to ask her if she would do it, I'm like, please say yes. Because she's just so inspirational, whether she realizes it or not. And it's just, I don't know. She's just a very, very unique human being. Even before we started her journey, she's truly amazing. And she has the biggest heart in Arkansas. I truly believe that.
Oh, you know, and when we did talk, you said, "Oh, I really hope she's going to do it. I really hope she'll do the show because she just has such the most amazing story." Hey, I want to share this cute. I want to share this cute before and after picture. This is our last holiday, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to Halloween. All right, Amber, can you walk us through the before and after panda pictures?
Oh yeah. Well, the one on the left, you know, is last year, and no, that is not padding. That is all and, yeah, I was actually gonna wear a different costume, and my daughter there, she was Rosie the Riveter, and she told me, she said,
I love it. You can do it.
Yeah, she told me, she said, "Mom, you should put the panda costume on," and I was like, that would be a great before and after photo. So I went and put it on, and that's what I wore. And I mean, it looks, you know, it's a totally different panda.
And well, again, when you talk about how you lost 20 years off, you do look like you're 12 in that second picture. With that, you know, it looks like a 12-year-old in a panda costume, whereas in the first picture, no, it's probably a grown-up, right?
That's awesome. That's really funny.
My God.
And she'd already lost weight in the heavy panda. She's
you know
already
what?
smaller.
I was just putting 2 and 2 together because July 4th, that was when you were getting started, and then this was at Halloween.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, that was Halloween. And people, when we walk up and down the street, people see me in that costume, and little kids will want to take pictures with me and everything. Some of them the year before remembered the costume, and they honestly, they kept saying the same thing too. They're like, "Well, who is this in the costume this year?"
It doesn't have the same effect.
That's so cute.
Oh, that was very, very cute. All right. Thank you, ladies, for coming on the show today. Amber, I'm going to give you last word here. If somebody was struggling with the question as to whether they were going to start the protocol or not start the protocol, you know, what advice would you give them to kind of help them make that decision?
I mean, it's never too late. It's never too late to start. It really isn't. I mean, I'm 38, you know, Jessica said she was 24. I mean, you know, you get into that
I'm
stage.
still 24.
You get into that your life and you think, oh, it's going to work. My metabolism is gone. Everything I eat, I'm going to gain. I mean, it's never too late. It's never too late to start. Seriously.
Absolutely. I'm not even going to tell you what age I started at. And then I usually go into it. And if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Anybody can do it.
Yeah.
This is true. Yep.
Right?
That's
Exactly.
it.
All right, ladies. Thank you so much. Hang out backstage. We will catch up after I close out the show.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, just two amazing ladies, two amazing stories of transformation using the Ideal Protein Protocol. Jessica actually going through what I like to refer to as the hero's journey, taking the pain of her weight and transforming herself with a protocol, becoming a coach and a guide so that she can turn around and help others. I think that really, really pretty neat stories. So thank you so much. As always, I'm going to ask you to like, subscribe, share the podcast with your friends and your family. If you're a clinic owner or coach, share it with all of your clients. And like I always like to say, keep reaching for your life possible.